In meteorology, a cloud is an aerosol consisting of a visible mass of miniature liquid droplets, frozen crystals, or other particles suspended in the atmosphere of a planetary body or similar space. So yeah, I'm kind of an expert on clouds, as you could probably tell, and that's why Logitech, when they were trying to come up with a name for their streaming handheld, they came to me and they were like, TechDweeb, you like to name things, and everyone knows you like clouds, so what should we call this cloud gaming handheld? And I took a look at it and it looked white and soft, kind of fluffy, so I asked, is it good? And they said, yeah, it's good, and I said, alright, you're calling it the G-Cloud. G for good and cloud for cloud. And they said, TechDweeb, you are a freaking genius. And I said, thanks Logitech, I know. So what is a G-Cloud anyways, is what you're probably wondering. And I'm probably going to tell you because that's what I do. The Logitech G-Cloud is an Android-based handheld gaming device that is made for streaming. It sort of functions like a high-quality tablet with a controller attached. It's not a super powerful device. It's not a beast for Android games or emulation. But that's okay because that's not what this thing is for. This thing is a handheld that's made to give you a top-end premium game streaming experience. Everything from the screen to the sound to the system to the battery to the controls to the form factor. This thing is just a great thing to stream things. It gets so much right, and the experience of gaming on it is so good that it probably doesn't matter that it has some flaws that take away a bit of the pizzazz, which we'll talk about. I didn't think I'd like it as much as I do because of what I saw others saying about it, but now that I've been using it, what I've realized is that what this thing does right, it does really freaking right. And it's that stuff that makes this a wonderful toy. I absolutely love it. I can't freaking put it down. This glorified cell phone with a controller stuck onto it might be my current favorite gaming device right now. And I'm not even joking. I would never joke in one of my videos. Isn't that right, Hermione? The processor in this thing is a Snapdragon 720G, which is an older, lower power chip, but it's a good choice for the needs of a device like this. To power that, we have a 23 watt-hour battery in here, which can give you, get this, over 12 hours of game time. We only get 64 gigabytes of internal storage, which is one of the major downsides that I talked about earlier. And not a big deal if you do mostly streaming or emulation though. We get a 7-inch 1080p display, dual stereo speakers, dual microphones featuring echo and noise suppression, Bluetooth 5.1, dual band Wi-Fi, all that good stuff. The moment that I got this in my hands for the first time, it instantly clicked with me. Logitech makes lots of stuff, keyboards, mouses, game controllers for submarines, so they're pros when it comes to human interface devices. And as a human, I can say that this interface device is marvelous. This might be the most comfortable gaming device that I've ever used. I love me some nice curves, if you know what I mean, yeah you do. And the curves and the feel of the texture on this thing are super comfy. The controls are amazing, except for the D-pad. So let's get that out of the way. I like the feel of the D-pad. It's got a unique shape, feels nice under my thumb. The issue is that it's hard to do diagonals. It's fine for most game streaming situations, but if you are a D-pad focused retro gamer, then you're not gonna love this. That's the end of the bad news though. Everything else is lovely. The face buttons, the function buttons, they all feel great. The sticks are glorious. These are full-size sticks and the movement feels super smooth. The input is perfectly responsive. Important to have good sticks on a streaming device though, because you'll be playing PC games on here. Bumpers and triggers are great, just amazing controls, and that is a hugely important factor in my enjoyment of the G-Cloud. That's one of the main reasons that I can't put it down. The other reason is that it's cursed, and once you attune to it, you'll take a -5 to ability checks if you let it out of your possession. Nothing that a scroll of remove curse can't take care of though. And the screen is great too. It's a 7-inch screen, same as the Steam Deck or the ROG Ally, and it's 1080p, so we're talking about super crisp images and graphics at that resolution at this size. This is an IPS screen and the viewing angles are among the best screens that I've seen on an LCD. The colors are rich and bright. I can't do it justice in the video, you'll just have to trust me here. This is a super nice screen, one of the nicest screens that I own, which is a huge part of why this thing is so nice to game on. For the system, we're on Android 11, and we have a choice of 2 launchers by default. We have a handheld mode, which I think is going to be preferred for most people because it gives you a console-like experience, with convenient menus and stuff. And then we have tablet mode, which functions more like a regular old Android phone or tablet, and you can do all the usual stuff like gestures and swipe down the quick settings from the top. I prefer tablet mode because I have more control to do the TechDweeby things that I do, but I have zero complaints about anything as far as the system goes. Really well done here. And now onto the games. There are 3 types of games that you'll be playing on here: Android games, stream games, and emulation. For Android gaming, I didn't do much testing. The stuff that I did try worked, and it was awesome to play it all on this big beautiful screen with these awesome controls. However, since we only have 64 gigabytes of internal storage, that means that you won't be able to install more than 1 or 2 higher end games. I don't think it's worth getting this thing just for high-end Android games, but lots will run on here, and it is a very nice experience. Oh, and if you're in handheld mode, you can enable key mapping to map the physical controls to on-screen touch functions. Very nice to have this included in the system. But the main thing that we're here for is streaming. If you have good internet, you can get a great gaming experience using Xbox Cloud or GeForce Now, which is what I personally use. I do not have good internet. I'm at the mercy of Starlink, but even for me, I could game just fine most of the times that I tried it. Obviously, the video quality isn't the bestest and the latency isn't the bestest, but honestly, I had fun playing games via streaming. But I don't really care about online streaming. I only tested it for this video. I don't use it and I don't need it. I have a gaming PC. My PC is in my dork dungeon in my mom's basement, and when I'm over in my games room or upstairs in my living room or in the tub or eating dinner or hiding in the closet when mom's trying to find me to do my chores, using PC streaming, the PC gaming experience that I get on the G-Cloud is nearly perfect. I've used streaming in the past. I've made videos on the topic. You don't need a device like a G-Cloud to do PC streaming. There are cheaper options, but the G-Cloud is the best one that I've tried, period. I don't have amazing Wi-Fi, it's just Wi-Fi 5, but the performance of the streaming is more or less perfect. And the games look so freaking good. 1080p at 7 inches is so big and crisp. I have an NVIDIA GPU, so I use Moonlight for my streaming because the quality is better than on Steam Link, although both work well. And the quality is amazing. Even if I'm looking with a very critical eye, I have a hard time even being able to tell that the game isn't running natively on the device. I don't even know if I could tell, to be honest. It's that good. There is a very small amount of latency, and nothing that I'd ever notice in most games. It never really affects me when I'm gaming, but maybe if you were playing like a rhythm game or something, you would notice it. It's nearly perfect. Let's put it that way. My PC is a beast. It has a Ryzen 9 5950X CPU and a 4070 Ti GPU. So obviously the graphics look amazing, all maxed out with ray tracing and stuff. But even if I stream my modest test PC with an i5 10400 and an RTX 3060, the quality of the game still far exceeds the quality of the same game running on the Steam Deck or a higher end handheld like the ROG Ally. And I've done game streaming with budget lower end PCs as well, and I've never had an issue. If you have a gaming PC that can run games and you do most of your gaming around the house, you're not missing much when you're gaming on the G-Cloud via streaming, is what I'm saying. And you get the benefits of gaming on a super comfortable device that runs cool and quiet with an all-day battery life. I can't overstate how important those factors are when you're actually using this thing to game on. As for emulation, well, we can do quite a bit here. If you're going for pure bang for the buck performance, the G-Cloud probably isn't going to win, but I wouldn't write it off because it can actually handle quite a bit. I have Emulation Station Desktop Edition installed for my emulation stuff. This thing can handle everything up to PS1 and Nintendo 64 and Dreamcast, no problem at all. You can upscale most PSP games to the full 1080p resolution, which looks amazing, and you can play higher end stuff like GameCube and PS2. Obviously, the hardest to run stuff isn't going to be great. We get about the same performance as the T618 devices like the RP3 Plus, so maybe half the GameCube and PS2 games will run well. And I was even able to play a few games from that system that shall not be named. And while it wasn't great performance, they were playable. However, I should mention that the SD card needs to be formatted as FAT32 or exFAT, which means that there's limitations on the file size of individual files. We're at a 4 GB max here for each file. So that fact alone means that you're not going to be able to play a lot of the higher end emulation stuff because those files can get pretty big. Still, I had a great time playing retro games on here. Emulation Station for Android is a wonderful front end. Retro games play great as long as you don't need games that rely on D-pad diagonals. For those, I just use the stick. I am playing through Mother 3 for the Dusty Games Society this month, and I've been playing it on the G-Cloud because the beautiful GBA pixel art looks so good on this big screen. And because it's Android 11, I can use the built-in screen recorder to save my gameplay clips for the video that I'm going to make at the end of the month. Oh, and the screen gets nice and dim, so I can play this in bed at night. Under my covers, of course, so my mom doesn't get me in trouble for being up too late. I had a moment the other day. I was sitting on my couch, testing the G-Cloud, finishing off a box of Oreos, starting to write this review, and then I decided I was done working and I wanted to play some games, so I opened a second box of Oreos and I instinctively went to grab the Steam Deck. My hand was reaching for it. And then I stopped and thought about it, and I had an existential crisis. I realized then and there that maybe I wanted to grab the G-Cloud instead. Genuinely. I wanted the game that I was about to play, which was Red Dead Redemption 2, to look as amazing as it does on the G-Cloud. I wanted to see the game running at 1080p with maxed out settings. I wanted the comfortable, lightweight form factor of the G-Cloud. I wanted the amazing controls. I wanted not to have to worry about my battery at all during my gaming session. So I did it. I grabbed the G-Cloud instead of the Steam Deck. And not once when I was gaming did a single reminder that I wasn't playing natively enter my mind. No latency hampered my immersion, no video quality issues, nothing. It felt as if the game was running right there in the palms of my hands the whole time. So on this day, I chose this over the Steam Deck. And I've done it again since then, and I can see myself doing this quite often. And that's it. That's the biggest recommendation I can give it. This thing isn't cheap though. It used to be $350, and that's too much. I think we can all agree on that. But it's been more or less permanently reduced to $270 on Amazon, and it often goes on sale for less than that. But if you consider that the RP4 Pro is about the same price after shipping and possibly import duties, the RP4 Pro beats this thing in terms of how well it can emulate higher end systems. And that price is getting real close to the price of the base model of the Odin 2. But I would not rather stream games on either of those, or the Steam Deck, or any other handheld device that I've tested. The G-Cloud beats them all. It doesn't do everything well, but it's top of its class when it comes to streaming. With this, as long as you have a gaming PC that you'll be streaming from, you more or less get a portable portal to your gaming PC. So I'm going to give the Logitech G-Cloud 7 clouds out of 8 clouds. And here's a back-of-the-box quote for you, Logitech. You can feel free to use this. If you want to pick one of these up, I'll include a link to this on Amazon in the description below. And that brings us to the end. Thanks for watching and stuff. If you like this video, then check out this video, my review of the Bixi Loot, which is sort of like a cheap budget version of the G-Cloud. It's also a good device, worth considering if you're thinking about this one. There's a link on the screen now and down in the description below. And that's it from me. I'm TechDweeb. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.